Hey everybody, hey, it's Coach Debbie
and Coach Emily.
We're Momsanity.
Woo!
We're all about motherhood, faith, fitness, and nutrition, and we want to invite you in with us as we have some behind the scenes talk about all things Momsanity. We're really going to focus a lot on motherhood and faith and how important those are to Emily. I'm going to be grilling her, y'all. Get ready. Start sweating.
I am.
I'm the one that's actually sweating. Okay, so let's talk about kids.
Okay.
What's your kids, what kind of, like, how many kids do you have? What are they? How old are they? What are their names? All those fun things.
Oh, I have two boys, Adler, who is 5.5 and about to start kindergarten in a couple weeks, and Hutch is 2.5 and sleeps like a newborn. They are the sweetest things, but they are rough and tumble boys. They are polar opposites in every way, and they get along great. They love each other so much, and they also beat each other like crazy. I never thought I would be a boy mom. I'm an only child, and while I was a little bit of a tomboy, I still did not really like do boy things, and so it's still like every stage is so new for me. So,
What's been the biggest surprise in motherhood that, like, you know, when you were 15 and you thought you knew what motherhood would be like?
Oh, gracious. I knew nothing. I still don't know anything. I think just how little control we truly have is, if I had to name one thing, it's like, I can't control these children. Like, I don't judge moms of any kind anywhere. I don't care what kind of fit your kid is. Like, that can happen to me at the drop of a hat too. Like, on the wrong day, at the wrong time, we are all susceptible to all the things. Mm-hmm. So I think just encouraging and loving each other and, you know, giving a knowing glance or distracting the kid. I'll do that sometimes, like, oh, hey, did you come shopping with your mama? And they always stop screaming, you know, they're like, who's this stranger talking to me? And then the mom's back there like, thank you so much. Oh. It's like, why not? Please do that for me if my kid's throwing a tantrum in the store. But I think just the whole lack of control is probably the all-encompassing thing.
Do you have a favorite parenting book?
Tell
us.
So I do a lot of listening these days because I have a stack of books by my bed that I never open, and I want to, but I fall into bed and fall asleep, and during the day I never prioritize reading books. So besides the Bible, but I have listened recently to several books, and I really liked there's a lot that I like. I really did like Triggers, and I can't remember the two authors' names, but I love because it's a mom. They're all boy moms. They have like 6 or 7 boys between them, and the one is her kids are like in college or older, and the other one has like preschoolers, and so they kind of wrote it together.
That's cool.
But it talks about our backgrounds and why the things that trigger us do the way that they do. It's a very Christ-centered book, and it talks about the very specific things. Like, one chapter's like disrespect. This is what your child does. This is a way to switch to the way that you just want to explode and freak out on them and disrespect them back. And, you know, instead, let's look at them as the immature, you know, seeking lost beings that they are, and how can we coach them in a way that is appropriate. So they do that through lots of different things, and it's very convicting, but I learned a lot that was really useful to actually implement. So
everybody go buy that book.
I know.
Go buy the book. They all need it.
There's a follow-up book called Parenting Scripts, and it's really even more specific. It's like, okay, this is the thing you're dealing with. Here's like kind of a lesson. Let's think of it this way. And then they give you a script that you can kind of make your own. And it's all biblically based, and, you know, has scripture in there. It's good stuff. I need to memorize them way better than I have.
Thank you. That's really good. That's a good suggestion. So what's your favorite parenting stage so far?
So
in your 5.5 years.
I'm 5.5 years in, which is not very far, but sometimes it feels like it's been longer than that. But I am not a newborn baby person, mostly because I like schedules and predictability and to be able to plan around certain things. And I'm okay with a lot of stuff, but I just like to kind of know what to expect. And with babies, it's not that way. And I love loving my kids, but that constant physical need is a challenge for me too. So I really feel like in a lot of ways, I mean, I love the sweet seasons. Like, I think that this 2.5, like, while they're discovering and starting to speak in full sentences and really understanding the world and communicating, I love that. But as our older son has gotten older, I miss the innocence that I can see going little by little. But at the same time, I love that God has called me to be a part of shaping him and pointing him toward him. And while I fail daily, it's such a fun responsibility to have, and to be, like I said, fail daily. Lord, I need your help with this. Please help me. I need to do this differently. And then being able to humble myself to be able to hear him speak, and then do it a little bit more his way the next time, which is still not perfect, and just having so much mercy and grace to be able to keep trying again. It's fun.
You're amazing. How do you teach your kids about God? Like, what is that when they're so little and God seems so abstract?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
You know, with our first son, I felt like it was such a heavy thing. Like, oh my gosh, I have this huge responsibility. I don't even understand all this. How am I supposed to explain the Trinity to a 2-year-old? Like, you know, these kinds of things. And then learning as we've gone along that it really is in those little everyday moments that you can introduce them, first of all, to the things that God made and creation and his character and the way that we treat each other and how did Jesus act and that kind of thing. And just being able to have those conversations, and it makes them curious in a lot of ways, I feel like, and wanting to know more. And now that Adler is older, like I love when God gives you moments of reinforcement where, like, okay, maybe I did one little thing right, where he'll recognize a situation and will relate it to a Bible story or something like that. I mean, it only happens every now and then. I don't want to pretend like that's every day for us, but we're very consistent. And when I was a kid, we went to church, but we did not study the Bible. Like, that wasn't a thing. And so we probably have like 6 or 7 Bibles already of various stages. One is more like a comic book that's kind of fun, but it's very accurate. It's almost too accurate. I'm like, I find this actually kind of boring, but okay. We now have like an NIV Bible, but it's like more of a kid's version. But anyway, and he's like, this is a real Bible. So we're just trying to really be in God's word with them every day. And sometimes I'll just pull out a couple of verses and then we'll just talk about it. I'm like, how much of this can he actually understand, and what can I help him refine a little bit more, just in this little bit that helps him take one step forward every day. So
that's amazing.
I don't know if that's good or not.
Yes.
I have no idea what I'm doing. So.
No, you're doing a great job. Like, how has God really grown you, like, over, let's say, the past year? Like, how has he kind of stretched you or changed you?
I think that if I had to name one thing, is that I am realizing more and more tangibly in my own life that we are called as followers of Christ to be different, to be set apart, to do things that don't necessarily make sense, that aren't easy, or to not do things that do make sense. And being willing to take steps that are, like I said, I like predictability and routine, and like, well, normally when you do this, this is what happens next, and so forth. And there are several things in our family right now that I feel like are steps into, it's like that song, the ocean song, where it's like deeper and deeper, and it's like I have no idea what's going to happen, and being okay with that, and just knowing, like, whatever it is, whatever the outcome is, it's going to be okay. And if I know that I'm taking a step of faith that he's calling me to, no matter how hard I want to fight it, that I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to do it. If it's big or small, then he's just growing me in my willingness to do that, to surrender my comfort and my planning and my nature to do things a little bit more in the way that he has planned in this season. So
That's huge. That's huge. And your kids, I mean, they're watching that. They're seeing, that faith in action, where it's real.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I hope you're right.
Like,
do they? I don't know.
So how does your faith affect your nutrition, affect your fitness? Like how does that stuff overlap, or does it?
Yeah. I think that it does, and I actually think it goes both ways. And I think that that's sometimes weird to be like, what, your fitness affects your faith? I feel like, kind of like what I was just saying, when we challenge ourselves physically, or we are disciplined in the way we eat or the way we exercise, I actually think that it grows that ability to be more disciplined in our faith and the way and the time that we spend with him, in our ability to do things for the Lord. And then also, I mean, nobody likes to talk about this. My husband is really into this right now because God convicted him in a big way a few months ago, and he's really sharing it openly, so he won't mind. But gluttony is a big deal in our culture, and specifically in the church. Like, if you want people to show up, just have a picnic, like
potluck.
Yes, and or like whatever, or we're having a youth thing. Okay, how much junk food can we get there to get the teenagers to show up? And so, I think that that's just really good to be aware of, what does the Bible say about this? What does it mean that he says my body is a temple? Like, what does that mean? Does it mean I worship myself? Absolutely not. But what is he saying that as far as the way that I'm supposed to care for it? And so I really think that they go hand in hand, and that too often we separate them when they need to be meshed together, more so where they, we have this one life, and yes, it's a circle with lots of pieces, but we do too much separating, I feel, and not enough integrating when it comes to our faith. Goes into all the pieces, and all of the pieces can also impact our faith, as far as how are we ignoring this sin here, or are we focusing so much on this thing that is a good thing, but it's pulling us away from him, and so forth. So I think they all go together.
That's awesome.
They can all grow
and
together.
Your kids see this too. Like they, they're seeing you live this healthy lifestyle. I mean, they're eating the same foods that you're eating. They want to work out like mommy does. They see you pray, and they want to know to fold their hands, kind of thing. Like, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, they generally, yes. I mean, they are learning. They are learning for sure. Last night nobody wanted to pray. Or at dinner, we're like, okay, which one are you going to pray? They just stood there and look at me. I'm like,
not it.
I'm like, it's a great God. We have the opportunity to talk to God. Like, that's really cool. Who's going to do it? And finally, I was like, okay, I'll do it. And he it's just part of it. And I think that with motherhood from the faith standpoint, like, again, it's that constant, like, it's a tiny reminder, but a reminder of how much we resist the Lord, and how much we want to do things our own way, and how selfish we are. But we get to see it even less refined in our kids, and it's like, oh, I do that too. It's just not quite as blatant, like, And so they are great for figuring out our own issues as well.
Yeah, they reveal a lot.
They do reveal a lot.
Okay, so last question. I know you're passionate about this one.
Yes.
Let's talk about date nights.
Oh, I love date nights.
Are date nights important? Are we too busy for them? We gotta wait till the kids are older.
Yeah.
We don't have time for this.
Yeah. I will tell you that date night is a huge thing in our family. Like, we and I talk about it to everybody I know. Because I used to be like, well, not everybody does this, so that means I shouldn't talk about it, because it makes people be like, well, that must be nice. And that happens occasionally, but I find more often than not, people are like, how do I make this happen without it costing $1 bajillion, or like, we don't have family in town, or whatever that looks like. And my husband and I try to prioritize a date night every single Saturday. And I know that sounds crazy to many people. We let our kids eat frozen pizza at home. They're having a great time. We have a couple of sitters that we don't have any family in town either. And yes, it's a priority, and I do realize that everyone does not have the finances to have a sitter once a week. I also know that when things are a priority, we find ways to make them happen. So if your priority, and this is a little bit of like real talk, if your priority is my daughter wants to do gymnastics, I am going to move the moon to come up with $100 a month so she can take gymnastics for 45 minutes once a week. We will do whatever it takes to make that happen, but we let some of these other things slide. And I truly feel that our households, our families cannot be optimized in any way, including our faith, when we are not making time for the second to our relationship with the Lord relationship that God created for us to have. And so it looks different for everyone, and different seasons are different. And when we had just our one son, it was not as big of a need for us because it was so much easier. And as our lives have become busier with activities, with careers, with everything else, it just seems like it's that much more important. And as soon as it's over, like we go Saturday, starting on Sunday, I'm like, okay, it's only 6 days. And we savor that time, and we do not, so I feel like we think about date night, it's like, we're going to the fanciest restaurant in town, we're going to this show, we're going to this thing, like, we're gonna go get all these fancy drinks or whatever. And we don't do any of that. We do it regularly, and we spend far more money on the babysitter than anything else. So if we want to have some wine, usually we drink it before we leave, or we go to the park and take it with us. We eat, good food, but it's not expensive food. We don't go to fancy places because we just want to hang out and talk and be ourselves. And so that is and it's been such a great thing for our communication and our marriage and our ability to know that we have that chance to come together, and it's planned and it's set aside. So yeah.
That's so sweet. I love that y'all do that.
Yeah.
We all need to y'all get a sitter.
And you guys date too. I know.
We don't do it once a week, but I need to now.
That's right.
When this video ends, everybody call your sitter.
That's right. Call up your
I'm not
sitter.
even kidding.
Call your friend. I know, there's so many
swap
ways to do
services.
child. Absolutely. Swap services. You keep the kids on every other Friday. Whatever. There are so many ways to do it. If it's a priority, it will happen.
Make it happen. You've got to.
Emily, thank you.
Thank you. You're so awesome. Didn't y'all love that? I wanted it to keep going. Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Thank you.